Becky had always wanted a Barbie doll. On her 10th birthday, her wish finally came true. The Barbie was immaculate, boasting a shiny head of golden hair and a body too slim to be true. A perfect plastic idol, she was an innocent girl's dream come true, the best friend for a lonely little girl, or so it seemed. As Becky got older, she became self-conscious about her body. The world around her, filled with impossible standards of beauty, didn't help her insecurities. She looked at the Barbie doll on her shelf with envy, wondering out loud, "If only I had a thin waist and long legs like you, my life would be the better for it." That night, as Becky tried to drift off to sleep, she began hearing faint whispers.
"Becky, darling, you're beautiful, but wouldn't it be better if you were as thin as me?"
Becky groggily turned to find the source of the whisper. There was no one else in her room, but the Barbie doll was positioned prominently on her shelf. Was it coming from her?
"Don't worry, Becky. You'll be happy once you're like me. I'll help you achieve the perfect body. After all, I'm your best friend."
The next morning, Becky found a shocking surprise. Her bedroom was filled with fashion magazines, each page open to portray ultra-thin models and the latest diets. She would open her wardrobe to find her comfortable clothes replaced with outfits that were too small, as if suggesting she should lose weight. Confusion turned to shock when she heard her parents shouting from the kitchen. Running down the stairs, Becky soon discovered that all the food in the house had been discarded. Her parents were livid, blaming her for the strange events. Suddenly recalling her dream of the whispers coming from the Barbie doll, Becky realized perhaps it wasn't a dream at all. It would explain the strange situation that she's experiencing. When she tried to tell her parents, they dismissed it as a pathetic excuse to dodge responsibility for her prank. Becky was grounded, and the eye of the doll seemed to glint with satisfaction. When night came, Becky woke up to a searing pain on her abdomen. On her bed, she found a tight corset fastened onto her, its strings pulled to the point of suffocation. She looked up in terror to see the Barbie standing at the foot of her bed, its plastic eyes void of empathy.
"Becky, dear, you need to take losing weight more seriously. Don't you want to be liked by everyone?"
Enraged, Becky ripped off her corset. She seized the doll and hurled it out the window. Days passed, and life seemingly returned to normal. Becky awoke each morning to the comforting aroma of breakfast. Her clothes fit snugly, and her parents' scowls were replaced by their usual warm smiles. She found herself laughing more, her sunny disposition brightening the household. As the memory of the whispering doll faded, she started doubting her own recollections. Had she merely imagined the voice, the grotesque suggestions? Her mind wrestled with the logic of it all. It was a Barbie doll, after all, an inanimate piece of plastic. As she drifted through the everyday routine, a sense of unease still lurked at the back of her mind, but with each passing moment, the horrifying memory of her supposed interactions with the doll started to feel more and more like a bad dream. But things changed that very night. Becky awoke with a start to find herself gagged and bound to her bed. In the dim moonlight, she saw the silhouette of the Barbie doll she'd discarded days before. Now disheveled and grimy from days neglected outside, the doll stood over her, its plastic eyes gleaming with a chilling determination.
"Becky, I made a promise to help you become as beautiful as me, and I'm going to see it through."
The doll held up a tiny, sharp knife, glinting ominously under the moonlight. As Becky's eyes widened in terror, the doll reassured her.
"Don't worry, I'm Surgeon Barbie."
With a surgeon's precision, the doll began to carve, removing chunks of flesh from Becky, slowly peeling away Becky's body parts until they were slender. As she writhed and screamed into her gag, the doll chided her, her tone as sweet as a lullaby.
"Don't grimace, darling. It's not a pretty sight. You should smile more. But don't worry, I can fix that for you."
The following morning was a school day. The corridors hummed with the usual pre-class chatter and laughter. Suddenly, the jovial buzz faded into a chilling silence as a skeletal figure made its way through the crowd. The kids gawked in disbelief and terror as they recognized the figure. It was Becky, or what was left of her. Gone was the vibrant, bubbly girl they knew, replaced by a haunting apparition. Becky was now unnaturally thin, her body echoing the doll's impossible proportions. Her clothes hung off her like drapes on a coat hanger, her complexion pale as death. But what sent chills down their spines was her face. A gruesome, permanent smile had been crudely stapled onto her face, mirroring the Barbie doll's constant grin. Her eyes, once full of life and innocence, were now empty and glassy. A wave of terror washed over the school as the true extent of Becky's transformation dawned on them. They watched in horror as this grotesque version of their friend continued her strut down the corridor, her stapled smile a grim testament to the nightmarish ordeal she had endured.